welcome to the Tunepact Podcast. I'm your host, the punk rock pop, Lee Pierce. And today we are going to be talking about thinking about marketing during the creative process. And we are happy to have back AlleXion X. How are you doing today? And could you please introduce yourself for people that may have missed you the last time?
Sounds good. My name is AlleXion X. I'm doing great today, and I am an artist in New York City. I'm originally from the island Jamaica. I've been living in New York City for the past 20 plus years, and I busk in the New York City scene. I also make filters on TikTok to promote my music. I try to use social media as much as possible to promote my music and create music that people can relate to and connect with.
All right, so I am excited about this episode. We weren't even planning on doing this. So
Yeah.
we just wrapped up the last episode like 10 minutes ago. But halfway through, you mentioned about thinking about marketing during the creative process. And I
Mm.
instantly thought, I hope she's not busy for the next 45 minutes because I need to talk to someone about this.
Okay.
As everybody knows, I'm a marketing nerd and I'm the same way when I'm creating my stuff, whether it's writing or music or paintings or what, I'm the guy that's thinking, how am I going to market this? And I'll change things during the creative process if I'm like, could that not even like could that be misconstrued? Or I'm like, does that carry the vibe through? And am I going to lose people at this? And I'll start editing.
Mhm.
And when you brought up that, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be fun." So, everybody, here's my very first completely unplanned podcast episode
There
starring
we go.
Alexian. So, I don't even know where to start other than the intro. What do
Well,
we
I'll
do?
start. So, when you mentioned you create art, thinking about marketing, that's exactly what I do. So, there's a song working on right now that starts with the word shut up. And I thought that that's such a cool way because for me with marketing, it's you always have to grab people's attention. You always have to think about like what is going to make someone stop to listen. So if you tell them to shut up, that's one way to get them to listen. To me, a big part, and that's why you always have the term shock value. It's like you have to get people's attention immediately. And even in songwriting, that's a big thing they talk about. It's like, how do you create connection? And a big part of like human beings, we're designed to pay attention to things that are different, that can hurt us, that offend us. So if things are too salient and too commonplace, we ignore them naturally. So I think a big part of like thinking about marketing as you're creating allows you to say what is going to grab someone's attention, because I've learned this earlier on. It's not about being great necessarily. It's about something being remarkable. And remarkable means, by definition, there's going to be remarks about said product, right? So you always have to think, what would somebody say about this? It's never, there's a lot of great, but what's different, what's interesting, what in a room of all black bags, the one red bag is going to stick out. It may not be the best bag, but people are going to see that red bag even if it's a plastic bag in the midst of Louis Vuittons. You know what I mean? So it well, that might be a little difficult because Louis Vuittons have a branding, but you know what I'm saying. If it's comparable in branding, that red bag is gonna stick out. So you know that's how I look at it.
Oh, when you're thinking about the marketing side of it, when you're creating, whether it's a song or a concept for an album or a larger project or something like that, or even some video content that you're shooting for one of your social media on one of your social media platforms.
Mhm.
Uh, what are some of the thoughts that you're thinking of the marketing side of it? Like, what are you thinking about your specific fan base and demographic? Or are you thinking about how to reach broaden your fan base?
Yeah, so if like if I have a song that I wrote called "Take Over," and I'm thinking about, okay, this song is a female empowerment song. One, it it's braggadocious. So it's like If I'm thinking about, man, this is a song that a girl's getting ready with her makeup on, she's about to hit the road tonight. She's just being like confident, and there was a part in it where I said, I don't mean no disrespect. So it's almost at first I was saying I don't mean no disrespect. And a friend of mine was like, no, say I mean all disrespect. Because there's something about like apologizing is almost like not cool in a way. It's like you have to think like a girl that wants to be confident, is she apologizing or she's not apologizing? Exactly. So it's like I'm always thinking about like who am I speaking to? It's the who, what, when, where, and why. Like, why do they need to hear this? Because she needs confidence. Like, because as I said, the focal point of any product is the consumer. It's not you. It's not what I want to make to make Alexian feel. Yes, it's feeding me as well because I'm human. But there's a book I was reading where it's like it's always about solving a problem. So if the problem is doubt and feeling down, you're gonna uplift, right? So it's like, what do I put in this product to uplift? So that's why I'm always thinking about. And I actually during COVID took a sync licensing course, and they were creating music not to be stuck to a product, but that your lyrical content is thinking about certain themes and solution to certain product ideas, so it's not to be too like corny where you're like selling tide selling, but it's to make music that can fit into instances of life. Like if you listen to Drake's music, it's always talking about, yeah, I'm gonna go get my money. I'm gonna, it's that kind of braggadocious, like I'm the cool guy, I'm the guy every girl wants. Who's gonna listen to that? Guys that want girls. So it's really where I recognize within the industry and as a musician on Drake's level, that's to me Walmart or Amazon in terms of a product. You have to hit the marks, right? So your music has to be specifically targeted. And as I'm listening to a lot of his music, it is specifically targeted in conversation. And that's something I try to do because I do, for my music, I want it to be positive, uplifting, cheeky, but the lyrics is always geared to say a 20 something, 30 something a woman, you know, that's having similar experiences like myself. And I think about, like she likes hip hop, but she also loves pop. And it's like I think about artists like Lizzo, artists like Doja Cat, artists like, so I'm always thinking like whose fans can I also market this music to as I'm creating it. And I'm listening to those artists' music as well. So it's taking all those things in mind. And then from there, like I've also which when I listen to artists now, I kind of know when they're trying to get a TikTok viral song, because sometimes I listen, I'm like, it's too on the nose of trying to get a TikTok viral song, right? It's like they'll do like little things like turn your leg right. And I'm like, it's like, they're trying to create a dance challenge with this one. But so there's where you can go too far, so you always have to think, because there's one song, for example, one campaign I did. I made a song called "I Don't Care What You Think," right? And then I started making filters at the time. And this is a song I had prior to even thinking like this. But there's a line in the song that says, "Put your finger in the ear, put my finger in the ear, let me think." And then I made a filter, which they actually took down eventually. That was like a middle finger. And then it went in line with "I don't care what you think." So when I did it, all of a sudden, all these little kids and people started using this filter, and the songs in the background. I don't care what you think, and it worked. It absolutely worked. So, and then I made another filter early this year that says, "What will my 2025 be?" And in it, I put the name of my song in it, "Take Over." And then when people got it, they're like, yeah, and the music's in the background. So it really syncs well with the filter and the music. And that filter actually went super viral. It has over, I think, 900,000 uses now. Out of it, 20 something thousand are my song with my song in the background. So it absolutely works. So it's really to figure out how do you, and this is the big thing about music. I realize, how do you sync your music to life? How do you, because in this day and age on social media, everyone's using music with their videos. You have to figure out, how does my music fit into the scene of every day? Like, there's a song, Wake Up, it's the first of the month. Every first of the month, people use that song to do the first of the month. So you have to think, what are lines in my song that's saying something that people can relate to? And it doesn't have to be too on the nose, because then it's corny. But sometimes, a little corny goes a long way if you're really just trying to target that. And sometimes you just need one song to really make a mark, and from there you can create more and less corny music. But it's, you really kind of have to, as you say, think of the marketing and the music so that you can make an impression, and keep building from that, because human beings need something to relate to. If they don't feel they can relate to your music, you know it's kind of hard to market it, and it's super niche to a fault you know
Well, and you hit it on the head again. You've gotta, the corniness is almost a necessity nowadays because people are so jaded. They don't want to look into anything as much anymore. They want everything at face value. And corniness, it happens because we have to spell it out for people. Even me, we all do. We all need to spell it out for us. Now that's why we say like, share, subscribe. That's why, because like it should already be there. But everyone, this is all of us. I'm not saying anything about anybody that I wouldn't say about myself. So when you put and that, sometimes that's the corniness you need to get that initial hook, to get those fans listening, because that'll get them. So okay, it was just completely laid it out for them. Now they see it. It might be corny to you, but now that's got the attention, that initial attention, and now they see, oh well, that's what they're all about. They just don't spell it out in every other song. So sometimes you gotta go over the top and almost parody of yourself, sometimes a bigger version, so people can see the real you, because they can't see it just
that's
scratching the
true.
surface. And that's us, though, because we don't want, no matter how free of a person we think we are, we hold so much back.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
sometimes you got to be a little bigger, to get the
yeah. And to your
attention.
point, the parody thing is on the nose, on point, because, for example, the artist Doja Cat, when she came up with that song Mua Macau, and it's funny and it's quirky, and that's a part of her personality. That's not all of her personality, but that allowed her to reach into the fan base and pick out the people that gravitate towards that level of animated. Because you have people that are not going to connect to that level of animated, but the ones that do, she got them. So to me, that's a big example. And then there's a point in her career where she's like, I don't want to do so much pop. I want to do something a bit more dark. And she did. But no, she had all the fans that some of them were actually confused by it. Because she dropped some songs talking that she's the devil and the demon song, and they freaked out. But then she's like, okay, I'm kind of separating from the super poppy fans to who I originally am. And even though it confused a few, she still got a lot of them. There were those that unfollowed, but it's okay, because she's now saying, I went far, as you say, parody, to get 20 million fans. I'm okay shedding 1 million, to get back to the core.
Exactly. And I mean, it's just the way I think our society is and is always gonna be, is we're gonna keep having to go bigger. And that's why, like
Hmm.
what we're talking about, having to plan the marketing while you're trying to do the creative process of whatever it is, whether it's a song or a movie or a book or whatever you're working on
Correct,
as an
correct,
artist,
correct.
is having to do the marketing side of it while you're doing it. And I think a lot of artists don't realize a lot of the stuff they already do or like to do or maybe did in the past was marketing. Like video production. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of songs people, well, in the past, not as much now, but wrote songs thinking, oh, hey, this would make a good video. And then they continue to write the song. So, in form of the video, they're basically writing small movies.
Correct, correct, correct.
And it's the same thing when you're writing a song or you're working on a book or whatever it is, and you get to a spot, stop and be like, oh, that's funny. Like, I can see a picture, I can see that. Well, stop and jot that down,
Mm-hmm.
plan that out, and think about, like, oh, hey, that's going to be a great marketing tool for this song or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got an exact still image in your head of a song that isn't even recorded yet, I mean, you start thinking in those terms. And when your project's done, the masters are done, and it's time to market, you've got all the marketing
Yeah, you're
planned
ahead of
out.
the curve. You're
You
ahead of the
got
curve.
if you've got Meta Business Suite, you could have had this shit scheduled a month ago. I
Yep.
mean, album drops, hit your button, and you're good to go.
Yeah, you
You
can
know,
literally after that go and sleep for a month while everything's being promoted. Because that's the goal too. Because in this day and age, I feel live music is still a treasure. However, like people have to be very convinced to go see you live. At that level at which, like right now, SZA's on tour live and she's selling lip balm and she's selling stuff like that because she has done the work to bring people to that super fan level where they want a piece of everything she puts out, not just her music, but everything else. And the one of the deluxe version of her album, she used like a bug suit, and to your point of parody, it's an extreme version of her love of nature, which she keeps pushing within her story. And that works because people are gonna see her in that bug suit and go, "What the hell?" But they need that. You need sometimes for people to say, "What the hell? What are you doing?" Because you have their attention. It doesn't work without attention. And a lot of artists have been given a lot of trouble. Have been, it's to do things where you still maintain your safety, where people are not like, okay, this person is doing too much, I'm gonna unfollow them. You want to do it where they're still following you, but they're not 100% comfortable. Because when people get too comfortable, then you lack them becoming bored. This isn't a relationship.
exactly. Well, and that's the thing where you see, I look, I love a lot of old one hit wonders, like 80s and 90s pop stuff. I don't know why. It's just maybe it's the nostalgia
That's
of
my
it.
genre, man. I love pop.
And but in the most of the one hit wonders I see, it was it was just marketing failure. It was
Yeah,
not the band,
yeah.
because they did exactly what we're talking about. Is they put the goofiest, the most parody, spell it out for you song from the album out first to grab everybody's attention, where they shouldn't have released that single first. They should have released something else, and then that everybody found that track instead of, oh, that's the best track, and the rest of them just don't add up. They become these one-hit wonders, and that's the one thing you risk when you do, though, when you do make that leap, when you're planning the marketing while you're
So
creating,
you're saying
is
that one should, which I've read, similar to what you're saying, one should release follow-ups to a big hit, like lead-ups to a big hit.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I've
that
heard
that's
that
what
as a conversation.
Yeah, because if you know, like, especially if you're what we're talking about, if you're writing this thinking of the marketing side, trying to make it a marketable song, I wouldn't want to start with that one.
Mm,
Because the rest are going to be a letdown, in some sense, or at
mm.
least for the largest part of your new fan base that just went viral because of one track, and the rest of them sound like a completely different band. Even though
Mm,
you might be a better band than that one song, well, that's not going to work if it sounds like a
I hear
completely
you.
different band,
I,
and
I
that's what
agree with
people
that.
want.
I agree with that. That's interesting because for me, sometimes when I look at one hit wonders, I realize, like I was saying to a songwriter recently, because I've been really into songwriting lately as well. And I said to him, a part of the problem with one hit wonders to me too is, they they have finessed that one song that it's a hit. And then they don't have a process to get to that hit again. So I think of somebody like a Rihanna or a Doja or a Drake, and I feel like they have such a team of people that are like skilled levels, writers and producers, that it's not luck why they got to that song. It's like skill, and it's not luck why the marketing worked. It's a marketing strategy. You know what I mean? So I think I agree with you 100%. And the marketing strategy, thus you explained, is to drop the ones that are not as great as the one you're like, yo, this is the song that I like, and everybody else has shared it with. Like the other one, couple people like it. The other one, so the trickle down where no, you don't. It's almost like when you were. I do CrossFit, and if you come out swinging, you're not gonna make it to the end. You're probably gonna have to take a break. So to your point, the lead up to the big finish versus dropping that big thing and it trickles down to nothing. I totally agree. I totally agree. And that's something I'll keep in mind. I feel like I kind of dropped my head already. But the cool thing about a song though, and this is something that I learned from TikTok, and it's amazing, is that songs never die. So a song will come out, like Justine Sky had a song that came out in I think 2008. I may be wrong. Collide. It may be 2016, but then it blew up again in 2021, and that song like revitalized her career as a song that no went viral in 2021, which was her. She wasn't like pulling those numbers at the moment, and then here's this 10-year-old song that flipped her career because somebody started dancing with it. So to me, it's like, because a song never die, you can know what they call waterfall release all these old songs, which is something I'm thinking of doing with some new songs, and saying, okay, let me write a diagram and see which is my strongest song based on the streams, and then do that, start re-releasing, because I feel like a lot of artists, we make music, it gets 50 plays, and then we're like, oh man, people don't like it. No, you didn't market it. You did not market it. No one just likes something. I think my mom makes the best banana bread. It's not gonna compare with whatever carrot cake or banana bread out there on the shelf, because those people market it to a point where they have the market attention. She can have the best banana bread, but she hasn't done the work to market it. So you can have a song that's better than Thriller or any of these songs, but okay, that's cute. How are you selling it to me? So to your point, I'm going to keep that in mind because I've heard it before. And as I'm finishing these next songs, I want to re-release everything, because I just believe like it's about, as you said, you think about the marketing, and there's so many better ways I can market some of these older songs, and have a plan and build to that peak. To
Yes.
your point, you can't peak down. This curve is lost. You have to ride the wave up. So you're feeding me right now, for sure, for sure.
Well, and I think that goes into the planning of whether it's an EP or an LP, is even down to, the track listing. What order do you want your tracks
Mm,
on your album?
mm.
I've seen people that put more time into making a playlist than they do figuring out their own track listing on their own album. Like, this should be part of the planning and part of the creative
Yes,
process.
yes,
I
yes,
mean, it
yes,
doesn't have
yes.
to be. I'm not talking a concept album where all 16 songs work into what. No, I'm not just. But as you're creating this, you want to build to a crescendo. You don't
You get me
start
so excited.
track one isn't the banger. That isn't the one that
Yes. Yes,
no,
yes,
you
yes,
build to that, or you're
yes,
going to
yes,
lose them
yes.
on track two,
Yeah,
and it's the same way when it comes to releasing the tracks. Think about the stuff
that's true.
as you're creating, and you're like, oh, this is the one we need to build up to, and you plan that. And like I said, you've got your marketing plans. You thought about, oh, hey, when you're writing this song, a certain line made you giggle, and you're like, that would be a really cute TikTok video that could go viral or start a trend. Let's do that. Kind of like with your filters that you do, and
Correct.
start thinking about, jot those notes down when
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
creating. And then because in other words, the creating process could be so exhausting. I mean, it can take a year for a single song to get perfect, no joke. Some
No,
people can
you're
do it in
right.
a weekend,
Listen,
you
listen. You
know
said no lies because, and to your point, it's like I even think about like when you eat in food and you have that one thing that you really like on the plate and you just saving it for the last bite. You're not trying to finish it before everything else on the plate. Like if you have a lasagna that you're like, yo, this lasagna is kicking, and you got other things that are nice too, but you just saving that. You gonna save a little piece of that lasagna for that last bite because you want that to sit and carry you through the day. So I feel like to your point, it's like you want to finish like you. Everything in life follows that order. You build up to something. You build up to the hook, you build up to the orgasm, you build up to everything. You don't No one starts and then, because then that's
nowhere to
the
go but down.
economy builds up to anything that's coming down is not good.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you don't bands don't go on stage, play their hit first, and
Correct.
then come out for an encore to play, hey, this is a track off our upcoming album. I
No,
mean,
no,
who the
you're
fuck's gonna
absolutely
stay for
right.
that?
Even the show is the same thing. Everything is the same thing. It's like everyone's in the show waiting for that one hit. You're there like, when they gonna play that hit? That's why you're there. Imagine they play the hit. They play the five hits to start the show, and then everything else are the sleepers.
I'm out the door. I'm out the door. I'm beating
Yeah,
traffic. They play the best five songs first. I'm out the door. I ain't gonna hear anything off the new album, and that's me as a music marketing guy. I'm still
yeah,
that
and
one.
that's me as
Beat the
a
traffic.
human being. Like everything is about building to what's the just like you're not gonna put on the main artist first and then the openers after, like the people no one knows. You put them on first, and then so there's an artist to your point, and now I'm like, man, that should have knocked me from jump, but it makes sense, and I think artists need to hear, and I follow a few marketing people on YouTube, and I've learned a lot from a lot of people, and that's why I stay watching these videos, because knowledge is power, man. Knowledge is power, and you really, and the big thing about marketing and thinking about marketing as you're creating the music is also what goes hand in hand to your point of releasing in order of interest, and also releasing enough in a time span. Because if I start the car and I drive 2 feet and stop, you'll never get to that destination versus just going in your car and driving to the destination and having a route and a plan. You're gonna get there, but it would take 20 years driving and stopping, drive. It's like I've been releasing in that staggered way and it doesn't work. You have to have like, okay, this is my 1 year release plan of building up singles to putting everything in an album. Because now on Spotify, I don't know if you've seen it, they literally have the album track list out, and the artist is just highlighting the songs as they come out to the full album. So everything is sitting in that ordered way, and I feel if artists, as artists, we have to pay attention to these things, because the labels have been around for a long time, and these execs and different people who work, and everything happens in a certain order and in a certain structure, and the reason why it's there is because it works, and they've studied it enough to know. Just like the same thing with song form: intro, verse, chorus, bridge. Like, it's just patterns that work. A car works in four wheels. Like, ain't nobody trying to make square wheels. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I totally agree with you on a lot with everything you've said, and definitely, as the point of this conversation is, definitely think about the marketing as you're creating, because how are you going to promote this hit song if there's nothing in there that's appealing to people, and you can't think of, in this day and age, how do I post a short 10-minute, 50-minute clip that connects people to what you're doing? Then that song is cute in your catalog, but it may not connect. You know, that's just the facts of it. You really got to think about that, man. I'm always thinking about that, especially with lyrics, with melodies. Like, are people gonna want to sing along with this melody? I like to throw some O's in there. I like to throw something that I feel someone's gonna want to sing along with. Because that's the point of it. That's why I love pop. Like, I could, when I sung the first time I fell in love with pop, and some people don't like this song, but I love the song "Toxic" by Britney Spears. I heard the song and I'm like, that song's so cool. Like, it just hit me, and that was the first time I was like, man, I want to make pop music. Like, something about that song just clicking, and the dun, 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 that melody, and just how she came in, and I was like, I want to make stuff like that. It's like there's the catchiness and the hookiness to pop that I really appreciate, and it it just I'm like Bruno Mars, like all these artists that the music just grabs you and it makes you feel good, you know. And those are the songs that a lot of people use on social media because a lot of people feel the same, you know. So yeah.
Well, and like you said, I think a reason pop music is so much popular than other music is because it's not the production value, it's the fact that a lot of pop music and I mean, their entire catalog does go over to that almost parody side of it because they have more fun with it because there's not as much substance behind it. So it
Yeah.
can just be have fun, and that could be an entire 20-year career built
Yeah.
on that premise. And that's the cool thing about the genre in pop music and why I do still like, I mean, I listen to a lot of stuff. Like I said, I mean, it's fun. If
Yeah.
I'm in
I
the
love
kitchen
fun,
and I'm
man.
bopping around, I want to listen to something fun that I know is
Yeah.
gonna, you know, and I think that's why you see so much of it and why it's there forever. And well, like you said, you never know when something's gonna come back. Look at freaking Rick Astley, for God's sake. No one would have told you 20 years ago that Never Gonna Give You Up was gonna end up being the most famous video in the history of YouTube. In what world
Wow.
would that make sense? I
It's
mean,
beautiful, man. It's so cool. And it's like it to me, pop music is ever evolving because it just denote it just a statement to say what are people enjoying in this period of time. Because I feel for a while certain hip hop songs were pop music. It kind of evolved. And you have the rock era, you have the emo era, you have so many different genres that stepped into that light because it's just what people are generally connecting with. The pop of the 80s is not the pop of the 2010s, it's not the pop of the 2020s. It's just what becomes popular, to your point, is what's selling and what's sound. And for me, you can always borrow from every era as you go backwards to throw it in what's now. Because when I hear Chappelle Roan, that's like that old school pop sound. It's just fun. Like you can have a pop album can have a reggae song, electro pop vibe, R&B kind of vibe. You can put so many genres in a pop album, hinting at things. You can just you're free, and I feel a lot of artists that sit in that space, the marketing is a bit easier because it's just about having fun with colors. Like however you want to paint. And that's why I love that space because you're free to paint anything you want to paint. And because you are that free, it allows you to be more clever in marketing. Not trying to advocate for just pop, but it's always about how do I become clever. And another big marketing tool I feel while you are creating is to think about different shots you want to do. to think about how you're going to be filming some of these videos, because there are a lot of creators on TikTok and on Instagram that's going to give interesting angles, that their literal channel is about shots and angles that you can use in your videos, you know.
Oh, that's the thing. I mean, like you're saying out there, it's just, I say all the time, research. People, just do your homework. We
Yep.
have more access to information now than we've ever had, ever. Well, at least for now. Who knows what's going to happen?
I know.
But for now, we have access to a lot of information. Look up, I mean, you can look up analytics. You can see what works, what's trending. If there's
Yep.
something you don't know about marketing, that's what this podcast is about,
And
talking with
there's Chat
artists.
GPT.
Yes, I mean, there's a million things out there. Get out there and look, talk to other artists, ask people what, hey,
Yep.
I like what you did there. How'd you do it? I
Exactly.
mean, most artists would love to know that they inspired somebody else.
True,
I
true,
mean,
true.
and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. And one of my professors at school said, he said all the time, and I hold it dear, is never be the smartest person in the room. If you're the
Mm,
smartest person in the room, you're not growing. And anything that goes wrong is going to fall on you. Always
mm.
surround yourself with people better than you. So, especially when it comes to an industry like this, see who's doing it right and talk to them,
Yeah, no, you're right.
and
I think that's something I have to implore, because with marketing, I never thought about hitting up an artist and being like, yo, how did you do it? Actually, I did it once because I saw this guy and he got TikTok to promote his song. So I said, hey, what's going on with that? So he said, oh, they have a thing on TikTok called Sound On, which I'm a part of. But then I realized they added another feature where now they're working with artists and they're working with influencers, and they'll pay influencers a set amount of money based on the amount of views for the use of your song. So, I sent in a few of my songs for that. But I do shout out, some of these platforms, because obviously when you make bread, they make bread. When you eat, they eat. So, but the ones that really do invest in helping and creating programs to push your music as well, I really appreciate it, because it's great to know that they're also looking out. You know what I mean? In whatever way they are. Obviously, it's a scratch my back situation, but what isn't? I mean, there's a lot of, we can go down that rabbit hole, and a lot is unfair. However, it is what it is at this point. And what I would love to do, even with the live stuff I'm planning to do, is to have a website that just goes to me at certain times of the day. That's something an artist can employ too. You can literally create something that says, I'm using TikTok for nine. Say I'm on for 10 hours. I'm doing 3 hours on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch, and then I'm gonna have a time of the day where I just do 3 hours on my own feed on my own website. So now you have these people that's like, yo, I want to keep watching her. I'm going over to her website. You know what I mean? So it's like you create a space that's just yours. That's super powerful, where people are just coming to you, and I think that's something that I just see the future being amazing in that way, where it's going to give a lot of power back to the creator, because at the end of the day, a lot of these middlemen, it's not that they're not going to exist, because people are always going to discover you on these popular platforms, but you'll get to carve out a little space of your own, where you can say, you know what, come to my world and I'll feed you all of what I have to offer, with no limitations, of what I can say, what I can do, who I can be. People are going to take advantage in very weird ways, but different ways. I would say weird, but it's a beautiful thing where we're heading, in that you're gonna not have all these limitations. You can promote your products freely without them saying, hey, we don't want you to, we want a percentage of that sale. Now you can send them to your own website. You're getting 100%. So, but honestly, it takes time, and I think a lot of artists struggle with that part, the time part. Human beings in general, I look at somebody like Jeff Bezos, and I have a lot of respect for the time when I went to Amazon.com and there was nothing there, or it was just like books. And this guy just was patient. I have to give it up to the word patience, because if you're not patient as an artist, don't do it. Don't do it. It takes patience. You have to be patient to watch the trends, watch the what are people doing, study, as you said. You have to study and see what's working for that guy over there. Try it. Okay, it didn't work for me. Let me change it a bit. Okay, all right, let me take time to create the product and then think of the marketing. Okay, it can take a year to get the songs together. That is just what it is. Because I will say I've been guilty of being impatient at times, and I'm learning, like, when you're impatient, you can set yourself 5 years back, because now you keep doing that staggered thing I'm talking about. When you could just be patient, just take 1 year to make the music and think of the marketing. Take another 6 months to just make like 100 videos. Because once that ship that's well oiled, or that engine starts running, and you took the time to put all the details in place, and you do that big reveal, and you really have some good stuff, it has to cut through, because now you have, instead of poking, you have a punch. You have that, like, really big, like, ooh, you have that sledgehammer, and you have to, like, literally spec by spec build it. There's no other way. Like, if you have a label, that's different, but if you're an independent artist, you're doing everything. You're doing the product. You're doing the. I produce my own music and write it, so you're doing that part of it. Then you're doing the marketing part. Whenever you ignore one part of it, the other part is not happening. Like, don't pretend like you have little little minions working for you if you don't have a label. So now you have to make sure that the song's done, mixed and mastered, put them aside. The marketing ideas were jotted down, as you said. Now you're gonna film them, and then you make those 50, 60 videos, put them aside, and now you're like, okay, let me do some photo shoots, so I can have images as well. You put that aside, and then now you can say, okay, now is the kickoff, and you can be scratching your head, going live, preferably. And you have been going live through the process, so people have been connecting with you. So that's my plan. That's my and as I'm speaking to you, it's gonna be the plan, and I'll report to you and tell you how it's going.
It's good doing like you said, doing the little live sneak peeks while you're recording a new song and stuff like that is really smart, because you're planning your marketing while you're doing it, because you're kind of getting feedback on the tracks. Because there'd be nothing worse than you get it all done and you're looking at it when you're done and you realize you have a completely unmarketable product because you did no test marketing. And that's the
Yeah.
exact same thing for albums. Put little teasers out there, get some feedback, and find,
Mm,
because you might realize, like, oh wow, like 1,000 people saw that video, but no one interacted with it. Maybe let's not focus on that song anymore. You
mm.
know,
That's interesting, because what I will ask you then. All right, so if you don't have like, say you have 500 people that are invested. You don't have a huge amount of followers, and you have a song that you've played to a few trusted friends that usually say, that's cool, but they're like, yo, this one's fire. But then you put it online and you put in clips out, and people aren't going crazy over it, but it's fire. What do you do then?
would be persistent. If there, when it comes down to it, like, honestly, yes, I'm a marketing guy through and through, but I love art in all of its forms. And I want to, if I know something's good, whether it's my own or someone I'm working with, I will not give up. I will push, I will be persistent
Okay.
until they either agree with me or
Mhm.
they tell me to fuck off because I'm that wrong. If
I
like
love that.
if you know in your heart, because I mean, when it boils down to it, especially in this industry, if you're an artist and you're not having fun, there's no point in doing it anymore. Plain
Hmm.
and simple. Take a break if you need to. So,
Hmm.
and it's especially with your song, if there's one you're like, no, this is the one, go for it. Follow your
Okay.
heart, follow your gut. Because I mean,
Okay.
and like I said, and keep pushing it until someone says you're wrong or they agree with you. Because
True.
you like you were saying too, you never know when something's going to come back. Like all of a sudden, you see it all the time. All of a sudden, somebody's got a hit off an album that was 3 years ago.
True. True. True.
You never know when it's going to find its audience. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you're right. It's true.
if you got what you like and you love, just keep pushing it. Someone's good. It might take time, but it's good. It'll pay out. And of course,
Okay.
the longer you push that too, you start learning to take the little win, the little victories. You're like, hey, we got 10 more views on it this time. And it's like it's the 20th time you posted it. You're up to 200 views total. You're like, guess what? It's still going. It's still
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And take those little victories and just enjoy it and have fun, man.
It's
And love.
true. You have to enjoy the process. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes you feel beat up, but they're the more like yesterday, it's funny. Yesterday I saw a district kid took $20 out of my account. I'm like, look at these people. But then I checked it and I had $54 in my account on their platform. I was like, okay. It was just like the little wins that you're like, man, like now I have 1,300 monthly listeners consistently. There's a point where it was zero for a while.
Exactly. I'm an analytics guy. I love numbers. So like watching your social media followers, you're like, I've gotten one new follower every week this year. That's good. That's increasing. That's one more person. Because you never know when it's that one person that's going to share your stuff to someone else that sees it, or that's how things go viral.
Yeah, man. It's
Take
exciting.
those small victories are victories, man. You got to take what you can to make yourself happy, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And that's a big thing in marketing. Like, really appreciate the small victories and don't get hung up on numbers in a way to judge your product. Get hung up on numbers in a way to just like as an encouragement. Don't use it to discourage you because as you said, the one adding one at a time is fine. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is nonsense. It doesn't mean that no one's it's gonna take 50 years to because in music and in a lot of product building, it's a exponential thing. It's not a like everyday one's gonna happen, so it's gonna be one eternally. It's like tomorrow it could be 500,000. And then, unfortunately, next week he could go back to one.
yeah, and so like you said, we talked though, songs forever. You
Yeah,
never know. It's not like it has an exponential chance of or bringing in money or whatever you want. I mean, it comes out. It's the bottom line. You
correct,
want your music to get out there. You need to make a living.
correct.
It's not like this song expires on July 5th,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
2028.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
out there forever, good or bad. Some of those will come back to bite you in the ass and they'll haunt you because you'll be like,
Oh yes,
can
oh
I just
yes.
scrub the internet? I don't like that one anymore. But
I
it's
did
that's
that
the
with a
thing
song.
is.
Because you grow, and that's the cool thing about creating. It's like and marketing. You will have like a baby can't know that it's walking funny. It's when you're an older person, you look at it, you're like, man, babies walk like this. But when you're a baby, you don't see that. So to me, when I go back and listen to music or listen or see the ways I was promoting, I'm like, man, but you have to push through that not knowing how to by doing it. Just like busking, show up and busk. You have to push through in order to get to the next level because the only way to become better at anything is to do it. And each level is going to teach you, wait, that doesn't work. Let me try this. Trial and error is going to get the errors out of the way so that you can just go straight to, okay, I know how to promote this time around. Like me coming to where I'm now has been 6, 7 years of having wins and losses and disappointments and excitements. But the only way to get to the other side is to do it. There's nobody who's gonna hold your hand. I mean, as I said, the reason why some artists they complain afterwards that, oh man, the label is screwing me or da da da. But they were doing most of the heavy lifting. And you paid for that with the money that you made. Now, I always see some of these artists, I'm not here crying for them because they wanted that luxury approach, and that's fine. I have no problem with it. If tomorrow's like, all right, we'll give you 1 million, we're gonna take care of everything, I might be tempted. But if you're independent and you own 100% of your masters, that payoff when that hits is gonna be insane. I don't care how much people say money's into music anymore. No, that's nonsense. Because when it hits and all these platforms are streaming it and people are going in your stores and in your crevices for what you have, the money is gonna be just fine. And that keeps me going, not just for the money, but for the satisfaction of knowing I own 100%. I have my publishing company already. I have everything lined up. My buckets are open, So when those Christmas songs hit every year, the bucket's gonna be filled.
I'm gonna check those Christmas songs out as
Check
soon
them
as we're
out,
done
man.
today.
I
I
love
can't
I love
wait.
them. They're so fun. Like every
All
time,
right.
every year, that's me in my Santa suit, heading out to busk, playing my guitar, and people, it's just like, I, and I'm just promoting them. I just think that as you said, if you're not enjoying it, then leave it alone. But I thoroughly enjoy the creative process. I thoroughly enjoy the marketing process, and I do for this year want to be more creative. And I feel like the most creative and most dedicated to the process artists do get the win, whether it's a label behind them pushing them to just jump on and do the thing. But it's I've gotten the wins, especially in my Christmas songs, because I've taken them so seriously, that it's like today after I get off a call with you, I'm sending it to a licensing agent. Just like, you just have to do the work. It's not gonna be pretty. You're gonna have to wear many hats. But when you're tired, take a break, take a rest, take a nap, and do it. Wake up the next. You have to approach it like life. Like every day, we get up and do many things that we don't want to do anyway. You might as well. If you know in your heart of hearts that music is what you're here to do, and you're good at creating your own music, or even you have a team that you work with, the thing that's separating is usually it's the marketing that's lacking. If the music is there and it's good, you have to approach it from the same space that you do creating that good music. You have to have a good marketing strategy, and you have to be thinking about it, to your point, as you're creating, so that by the time you're done, you already have it ready. You just got to film. Now you're into get cute mode, put on the fashion that you're into mode, and go out and make these videos. And then it makes it easier that no, you're not stopping and going, okay, how are we gonna market this again? You know, you have to think about, I guess the analogy I'll use, if you're having a party, you're not gonna decorate the day after the party. As you're baking the cake and everything, you're thinking about the colors, what we're gonna decorate the place, what we're gonna, so that when you're done baking and making the food, the setup is ready. You just bring all the stuff in. Like I hosted the 70th for my dad, and it was like 50 something people, and I was doing both cooking and decorating, right? So I'll tell you quickly what happened. So cooking, boom, that done. Then immediately after we got him out of the house, I had to decorate the entire. It's a big house too. Decorate the entire house in Jamaica, and luckily, I already planned. So I got all my stuff from Amazon. I had the balloons, I had all the different things, the plates, the tables were ordered already, and I opened the tables like it was like 3 hours, set up everything, boom. So it went well because I was thinking about the decoration aspect while the food, everything was being done at the same time, so to speak, a give and take. So I believe it's the same thing in music. While you're creating the music, you have to think about how you're gonna send it out to the world. Because if not, you're gonna meet these roadblocks of like, oh, I'm exhausted. So I'll leave it with that. for sure.
Yeah, well, and if you do when you start adding the marketing and figuring it into the creative process, the marketing becomes creative too, because marketing can be just as fun and creative as the music or the book, whatever your art is. And if you
Absolutely.
start working it into it while you're creating it, it's going to be more creative, and then you have an all-encompassing product, including the marketing of the product becomes a product itself,
It
and it
is,
makes it
yes.
all fun. And you can tell the artists that are doing it that way, they're more successful and they're having more fun doing it.
Absolutely.
I obviously, if it works, give it a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always gonna have those people that are like, it's my art, I'm not marketing it. Then you're not gonna make a living doing it. And I'm sorry. And I
And you know,
feel
I
bad
love
for
what you
you.
said. I love what you said. And you actually are one of the first marketing person that said it right. And I'll tell you what you said that got me excited. You said it's a part of the creative process. And that's so, and then you said something earlier that came back to me now, where you talk about a music video was a marketing tool. And for every artist that's thinking that it's not, why the marketing part is showing me the story that you're telling me. It's literally the marketing side is showing me what you've been writing about. So to me, there's no marketing, no artist can come and say, "Hey guys, go check out unless that's the intention to be dull. Go check out my music now," you know what I mean. So it's really where I can't even complain anymore as an artist, because it's like the marketing is saying, "Go have fun with what you just create, and let people know to go check out your stuff because it's fun and you're having fun with your music." Like, go out there and do fun stuff to make people, or whatever stuff that connects your music. Go do sad stuff because you make sad music with your music. You know what I mean? Whatever world you created to live in, go make it real. And I think a lot of artists struggle with that because they may be a little on the "I don't want to do anything" side. I'm not going to use the word.
All right. Well, Alexia, thank you again for sticking around and doing another episode today. This has been great. Your
Absolutely.
input was very valuable. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All
Of
right.
course.
Well, thanks for coming on, and everybody, thanks for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, share, give us feedback, good or bad. We want to hear it. And everyone, be safe, have fun, take care.
Peace.